My daughter called me a broke loser at my own birthday dinner. 20 witnesses heard it, every syllable clear, sharp, and deliberate. My name is Marcus Ellison, and that night I learned the true cost of silence. What those 20 witnesses didn't know was that the woman humiliating me in public, my daughter Sabrina, had been living in my building for 5 years. Not just any building, a 1920s brick landmark I bought in 2018 for $22 million, now worth more than double. She'd been paying $400 a month for a penthouse that rented to others for $8 and $200. I'd quietly subsidized her life, a $246,000 gift disguised as luck, with a cheap apartment. And that night when she called me a loser in front of her fiancé's wealthy family, she had no idea her landlord was sitting right there listening. She thought I was a janitor who couldn't afford dinner. She didn't realize the uniform I wore every morning was part of a test one I'd been running for 5 years. A test of character, a test of respect, a test she failed the moment she raised her voice. That's the story I'm about to tell you, how a father who gave everything learned that silence isn't weakness. It's judgment waiting for the right moment. For 5 years, my daughter believed I was still working as a night janitor in her building. Every morning at 7 a.m., she'd see me in my Navy uniform, the one with the faded name patch that read, Marcus. She'd smile politely sometimes, press a $20 bill into my hand. "Get yourself some breakfast, Dad," she'd say, her tone somewhere between affection and pity. I always thanked her. What else could I do? She thought she was helping me survive. In truth, I was watching how she treated people she thought were beneath her. The truth was simple: I didn't need a job. I owned 4 apartment buildings across Seattle, each under Ellison Properties, LLC. Net worth $61 million, earned one modest investment at a time over 3 decades of custodial paychecks and sleepless nights. I kept working maintenance not because I needed the money, but because I respected the work. I wanted to understand every pipe, every circuit, every leak that needed fixing. When you own something, you care for it, and I built everything I had from the ground up, literally. But Sabrina never looked past the uniform. To her, janitor meant failure. To me, it meant legacy, the kind built quietly while others chase applause. Her friends called her generous for supporting her poor father. They never realized the marble lobby they walked through was mine. The elevator she used daily had been restored with my money. The management staff, the ones who always called me Mr. Ellison, worked for me. The signs were everywhere. She just chose not to see them. By October 2024, Sabrina's embarrassment had evolved into contempt. Her engagement to Oliver Mercer, son of 2 tech executives, turned every family dinner into a stage for appearances. The wedding was set for December 7th, $85,000 at the Fairmont Hotel, 200 guests, all of Seattle's polished elite. A month before the event, she invited me for coffee. "Dad," she said, stirring her latte without looking at me, "I need you to dress better for the wedding. Oliver's parents are very image conscious." She glanced at my jacket, then added, "Maybe don't mention the janitor thing unless someone asks." I smiled. "You're ashamed of what I do." "Not ashamed," she said quickly. "Just realistic. People talk." That same week, I met Helena Mercer, Oliver's mother, at a city planning meeting. She was a commissioner reviewing renovation permits, one of mine actually. When I introduced myself as Marcus Ellison from Ellison Properties, I saw a flicker of recognition in her eyes. Later that night, Sabrina called again, another list of restrictions, another way to hide her father. I realized then that she wasn't embarrassed by poverty. She was embarrassed by humility. The night of my birthday dinner came 3 weeks later. Private dining room, white tablecloths, 23 guests. Sabrina seated me at a small table in the back. "You'll be more comfortable here, Dad," she said. When the waiter poured a $200 bottle of Barolo I'd ordered, she snapped, "Dad, you can't afford that. Stop pretending." The room fell silent. Forks froze midair. Oliver tried to intervene, but she kept going. "You're a janitor, Dad. Everyone knows it. Don't embarrass yourself." That's when I stood, calmly. "I'd like to pay for everyone's dinner," I said. Her laugh echoed across the room. With what money your mop fund, I reached for my phone, typed one short message to my attorney, Natalie Pierce, end family rate. Unit 2402, full market effective, next lease cycle. A reply arrived within seconds, confirmed Mr. Ellison. I showed her the screen. The color drained from her face. That was the moment she realized I wasn't pretending. The next morning, I arrived at the building just before dawn, not out of anger, but clarity. Silence sharpens truth. Adrian Cole, my property manager, was already in the lobby reviewing work orders. "Morning, Mr. Ellison," he said as if nothing unusual had happened. "How was your birthday dinner?" "Educational," I replied. At 7:15, the elevator doors opened. Sabrina stepped out, coffee and handphone in the other, pretending not to notice us. Adrian leaned closer. "She still doesn't know, does she?" "None," I said. By 9 a.m., Natalie Pierce, my attorney, called. "Lease documents are ready," she said. "Do you want me to send them directly?" "Send them to her inbox." Professional tone. Standard 30-day notice. She paused, amused. "Understood, Mr. Ellison." Later, Diego Alvarez, my assistant manager, came by. "Boss, your daughter walked past me again without saying good morning," he said, shaking his head. "She used to call me Uncle Diego. Guess that's over." "People reveal themselves in time," I told him. "I'm just done waiting." That afternoon, Helena Mercer called my office. "Mr. Ellison," she said in her composed boardroom tone, "we met last night. I reviewed your renovation filings. Impressive work." She was fishing, testing what she suspected. I answered simply, "Thank you. Hard work pays off." A beat of silence. "You own quite a bit in this city, don't you?" "Enough to teach lessons quietly," I said. 2 days later, her husband, Victor Mercer, sent an email lunch next week. Potential investment opportunities. The silence was spreading upward into their world. Meanwhile, Sabrina was still living in mine, blind to the foundation cracking under her. When Natalie's email finally landed in her inbox, the subject line was clean and precise. "Lease Renewal Unit 2402, Ellison Properties LLC." The message read, "Due to market adjustments and expiration of family rate considerations, monthly rent will increase from $4,100 to $8,200 effective November 15th. Please review and return signed documents within 30 days. The same way she humiliated me publicly, I corrected her privately through paperwork. No shouting, no revenge speech, just the weight of a signature. 3 days after the restaurant incident, Sabrina called. Her voice was tight, rehearsed. "Dad Oliver's parents want to host a family meeting, just to finalize wedding details." When I asked, "Wednesday evening, their house in Bellevue," her tone carried the caution of someone who already sensed change in the air. The Mercer house sat above Lake Washington, all glass and stone and quiet money. When I arrived, Helena Mercer greeted me warmly, too warmly. We shook hands like two people who already knew the truth. "Marcus," she said, "so good to see you again." We gathered in the living room, Sabrina and Oliver on one couch, the Mercers on another, and I in a single chair across from them. Helena began, her voice calm but deliberate. "Before we discuss the wedding, there's something we need to clarify about Mr. Ellison." Sabrina's brow furrowed. "Clarify what his work," Helena said. "His position? His success?" She reached into a folder and laid several documents on the coffee table. Property, deeds, permits, business licenses. Every page bore the name Ellison Properties LLC. "Your father," she said, looking directly at Sabrina, "owns multiple buildings across Seattle, including the one you live in." The room fell silent. Oliver blinked, processing. You own our building?" he asked me. "I do," I said simply. "Since 2018. Sabrina shook her head as if trying to wake from a dream. "That's not possible." "You're a janitor," I finished. "Yes, I do maintenance because I choose to, because I respect the work, because ownership means understanding every bolt that keeps it standing." Helena continued, her tone steady but cutting. "We reviewed your portfolio. Over $60 million in assets. Marcus, you've built something remarkable." Then she turned to Sabrina. "I'm curious." Why hide that? Sabrina's lips parted, but no words came. Victor Mercer leaned forward. "Vanessa." "Excuse me, Sabrina?" he said gently. "You've been paying half rent for years. Your father has been subsidizing your lifestyle, roughly $50,000 a year." Did you know that her face drained of color? "No. I thought I just got lucky with a good deal." Oliver stared at her, disbelief clouding his eyes. "You called your father a loser while living in his penthouse." Helena placed her phone on the table and pressed play. A recording played Sabrina's voice. "Maybe we can say he's retired, or A family friend, Sabrina gasped. You recorded me. Helena didn't flinch. We record meetings that reveal character. Victor closed the folder. Oliver will need to reconsider the wedding timeline. Oliver looked down silent, then finally spoke. I love you, Sabrina, but I can't marry someone who treats her father like that. The engagement ended before dessert. I said nothing more. Sometimes the truth doesn't need defense, only exposure. The next morning, the city felt quieter. No calls from Sabrina, no polite emails from Oliver, no more invitations to play the role of the invisible father. Only clarity. At 10:15 a.m., Sabrina's inbox chimed with an email from Natalie Pierce. Subject lease renewal, Unit 2402. Effective November 15th, monthly rent will increase from $400 to $8,200 in accordance with current market conditions. Failure to renew within 30 days will result in lease termination. Ellison Properties, LLC. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Dad, what is this? This can't be real. It's business, Sabrina. The family discount has expired. Dad, I can't afford that rent. You know what I make? I do. About $68,000 before taxes, right? So what am I supposed to do? Exactly what every tenant does when life gets expensive, adjust. She started crying. Dad, please, don't do this. You're my father. I stayed silent for a moment, then said I was your father when I paid your tuition, when I carried your boxes up 4 flights of stairs, when I gave you 5 years of half-price living. Now I'm your landlord. A week later, Adrian Cole reported that she'd been asking other tenants about their rent. She's going door to door, he said, trying to find someone paying what she paid. She didn't find anyone. Every tenant in that building paid full price and respected the man she'd mocked. By November 10th, Natalie called again. She's hired an attorney, Daniel Kerr. He's asking for proof that her reduced rent was family-based discrimination. I laughed quietly. So generosity is discrimination now? Apparently, yes. The irony was sharp. She was trying to sue me for being too kind. Then came her last attempt. She walked into my office, the one with the mahogany desk she'd never seen, holding a folder of printouts. I've done research, she said. This increase violates tenant protection ordinances. Only for standard tenants, I replied. You were under a family arrangement. That arrangement ended the night you decided you were embarrassed by me. Her voice trembled. So this is punishment? No. This is consequence. Punishment is emotional. Consequence is math. That night she signed a lease for a 1-bedroom apartment in Ballard, $600 a month. No city view, no marble floors, no silent subsidies. Just what she could afford, honestly. And on December 7th, the day that was supposed to be her wedding movers, filled the lobby. I watched from my office window as she stood by the truck holding a single box marked kitchen. The penthouse she'd called her home was now just another rental unit in my portfolio. The same space where she'd learned how easy it is to mistake comfort for character. By the time the movers left, the hallways were quiet again. The echo of her heels faded, replaced by the hum of the building I knew like the lines of my palm. For the first time in years, I didn't feel tension when I looked toward the penthouse floor, only peace. 2 days later, I found a knock at my door. Sabrina stood there, eyes, red hair, pulled back, wearing jeans and a gray sweater. No pretense, no makeup. Just the daughter I used to know before she learned how to fake pride. I wanted to say goodbye before I leave, she said softly. Come in, I told her. She sat across from me, but this time she didn't reach for her phone or look at the walls full of awards. She looked at me. I owe you an apology, she began. You've already apologized, I said. Not really, she whispered. I apologize for what I said, not for what I believed. For years I saw you as less than me, because it made me feel more than I was. She wiped her eyes. I thought success meant image. I thought being seen mattered more than being right. I didn't realize that everything I bragged about was built on your quiet work. For a long time I didn't speak. I just let the truth sit between us. Then I asked, why do you think you needed me to be small? She thought for a moment. Because it was easier to believe I'd made it on my own. But I didn't. I just lived off the love I never respected. Her voice cracked. I want to earn that respect back, not your money, not your help. Just the right to look you in the eye without guilt. I nodded. Respect was never something you lost, Sabrina. It was something you refused to claim. It's still there waiting. She stood and hugged me, not the quick, polite kind, the kind that says I finally understand. I love you, Dad, she whispered. I'm sorry it took losing everything to see what I had. I smiled. You didn't lose everything. You lost what wasn't truly yours yet. Months passed. Spring arrived over Seattle, the kind that smells like rain and new chances. One morning, my phone buzzed with a message from her. A photo of a small, one-bedroom apartment, modest sunlit, a potted plant by the window. Caption, "Home is what you build yourself." I looked at the picture for a long time and smiled. She had finally understood. Sometimes the hardest act of love a parent can give is not rescue but reality. Because boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that only open when the other person learns to knock. If you've ever been taken for granted by family, remember this silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes it's the sound of someone choosing dignity over approval.